I wasn't expecting the man at the bottom of the stairs to look like that. Tall, sharp features, a dusting of scruff on his jawline, a dark gray sweater clinging to a frame that clearly didn't skip gym days. He turned at the sound of the door, and for a moment, we just stared at each other. Him, surprised. Me, speechless. "Savannah?" he asked. I blinked. "Ah." He smiled, small and tight-lipped. "Wow, your mom said you'd changed a lot since high school, but I didn't expect." He stopped himself, cleared his throat. "It's good to finally meet you." I forced a smile. "You too." The pause hung heavy. I waited for him to say it. "My name's Drew," he offered, stepping forward with a hand outstretched. "Drew Montgomery." I shook his hand. Firm grip, warm skin, and a name that slammed into my memory like a train. Because Drew Montgomery wasn't just anyone. He was my old psychology teacher, senior year. The man half the girls in school had whispered about in the locker room. The man I had once written about in my diary so much I had to bury it at the bottom of my sock drawer. And now he was standing in my childhood home, as my mother's new husband. But before we get into that, if you can, please leave a like and subscribe. It would really mean a lot to me. It's free and would help the channel a ton. Plus, then you'll get to hear more salacious stories like this one. But anyway, let's get back to the story. She hadn't told me his name. Not once. Not in the rushed texts after the courthouse ceremony. Not in the photos she posted to Facebook with captions like, "Love wins," and "Second chances are beautiful." I had been too busy running from my own mess to pay attention. "You okay?" Drew asked, brow furrowing slightly. I snapped out of it. "Yeah, sorry. Just a long drive." He nodded. "Your mom's upstairs getting changed. She's excited. Been cleaning the house for days." Of course she had. I dragged my suitcase over the threshold and tried not to look at him too much. But it was impossible not to. His presence was magnetic, confident. He moved like someone who knew people watched him and liked it. He hadn't changed much, which was annoying. I'd changed a lot. Post-college had been a blur of late nights, job hopping, and one very public scandal involving my last boss and a leaked email chain I wish I could burn out of existence. That's why I was here. Hiding out. Starting over. But this was a twist even I hadn't seen coming. Dinner was strange. My mom was glowing, laughing too loudly at Drew's jokes, touching his arm every few minutes like she couldn't believe he was real. I watched them from across the table, sipping wine I didn't need and picking at roasted chicken I couldn't taste. "So," she said brightly, "Savannah's going to be in town for a little while. She's taking a job at Eastview High." Drew raised his eyebrows. "You're coming to teach?" "Yeah," I said. "English. They needed someone last minute." "Small world," he said. "I was at Eastview for 10 years before I started consulting full-time." My mom beamed. "Isn't that funny? You'll have so much in common." So much in common, I bet. He didn't say anything about me being a former student. Maybe he hadn't made the connection. Maybe I looked different enough. Or maybe, more likely, he had recognized me, and he was just better at hiding it than I was. When I caught his gaze over the wine glasses, he didn't look away. Neither did I. That night, I couldn't sleep. The guest room felt too small, too clean. My suitcase sat unopened at the foot of the bed, and the hum of the ceiling fan did nothing to settle the storm in my chest. I got up to get water. Quiet steps. No lights. The hallway was dark, but a faint glow spilled from the crack beneath the kitchen door. I crept down the stairs, barefoot and unsure why I was moving like a teenager sneaking out past curfew. He was there, leaning against the kitchen island, drinking something from a rocks glass. Whiskey, maybe. He looked up when I entered. "Couldn't sleep either?" he asked. "Nope," I said, reaching for the faucet. "New beds always suck." He nodded, then watched me silently as I drank straight from the glass. Not my most graceful move. "You remembered me, didn't you?" I asked. He didn't flinch. "Yes," he said. I set the glass down slowly. "Since when?" "The second I saw you at the door." We stood there, silence thick between us. I said, "When Mom said she got remarried, she never mentioned your name. She didn't think it mattered." I laughed once, bitter and breathless. "It kinda does." Drew exhaled, then ran a hand through his hair. "Look, I didn't plan for any of this either. Life just lands you in strange places." I crossed my arms. "Like your former student's kitchen?" He looked at me then. Really looked. "You weren't just a student, Savannah. You were you." That shouldn't have sent a chill through me, but it did. You had this fire, he went on, smart, restless, always pushing. I noticed. I swallowed hard. You never said anything. I couldn't, he said simply. I was your teacher, and you were 17. And now? I asked, voice barely above a whisper. His eyes held mine. Now, he said, you're not. That's all for this section. Part 2 is coming out tomorrow. We post these videos every day, so don't forget to subscribe if you want to hear more risque stories like this one.